All right, welcome everyone. Today we're doing a deep dive into Area 51. You know, that place that seems to be permanently stuck in everyone's imaginations.
Yeah, it's definitely iconic.
Definitely. To help us unpack it all, we've got a few sources to pull from. We've got a Wikipedia entry on Area 51 itself. We've also got a piece from military.com. And then for some extra intrigue, some insights from space.com as well. So,
I'm excited to dive in.
yeah, me too. We're on a mission here
To
to separate those myths from the actual history of Area 51.
see if we can figure out why this patch of desert is so fascinating to everyone.
Yeah, why it has this pull on everyone's imagination, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting even just starting with the names. Officially, the CIA refers to it as Homey Airport or Groom Lake.
Homey Airport.
Right.
That doesn't really scream top secret military testing, does it?
Not exactly.
So where is this Homey Airport located?
Well, it's within the Nevada Test and Training Range, just 83 miles from Las Vegas.
Wow, Sin City and a super secret base basically next door to each other.
Yeah. It's a pretty interesting juxtaposition.
Yeah, and the name Area 51 itself, that has some mystery around it, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. People think it came from an Atomic Energy Commission numbering grid. But it turns out Area 51 isn't even a part of that system.
Really?
Yeah, it's next to Area 15. But there are a few theories on where the 51 designation came from. Some think it was just a random number, unlikely to be used by the Atomic Energy Commission. So,
Oh, interesting. Okay, so we're already starting to get into some of these mysteries. So
yeah,
to debunk the myths, I guess we have to start with the truth, right?
for sure. Gotta lay the foundation.
Okay, so what's the actual history of Area 51?
If we go back to 1955, the Cold War is in full swing. And that's really where Area 51's story starts. It was created to test the Lockheed U-2 spy plane.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a super important tool for the U.S. back then. Imagine a plane designed to fly so high that it was practically invisible to Soviet radar.
It's like something out of a movie.
Ex-
The U-2, that's an iconic aircraft. I know our space.com source goes into how the CIA was looking everywhere for a hidden spot to test this plane. And Kelly Johnson, the U-2's designer from Lockheed, he immediately knew that Groom Lake was the place. So what made him so sure?
Groom Lake offered the perfect mix of isolation and perfect testing conditions. This vast, dry lake bed was a natural runway, perfect for a plane meant to fly at super high altitudes. And being surrounded by mountains, that created a natural barrier, keeping prying eyes away.
They really put a lot of thought into picking the location, but Area 51 wasn't just about the U-2, was it?
Not at all.
I know our military.com source talks about some other pretty famous aircraft tested there.
Definitely, yeah. The A-12OX cart, the SR-71 Blackbird, the F-117 Nighthawk, they're all tested there.
Wow.
And each one pushed the boundaries of technology even further. The A-12, it was actually precursor to the SR-71, and it could reach speeds over 2,000 miles per hour.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and then you've got the F-117. With its crazy angular design and radar-absorbing materials, it was the world's first operational stealth aircraft.
So you've basically got this technological evolution happening at Area 51, starting with the U-2, which is designed to fly above radar. Then you have these crazy fast planes like the A-12 and the SR-71, and then boom, the F-117, practically invisible to radar. So it makes sense that these planes would spark all those stories about strange lights and UFOs.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine seeing these things flying around, especially back then when no one knew they existed.
People must have had no idea what they were looking at.
They would have had zero frame of reference. It's understandable.
But there's more to Area 51 than just these secret planes, right? The military.com article mentions something about the U.S. testing captured Soviet aircraft at Area 51. How'd they even get those?
Well, sometimes it was defections, but the program you're talking about is called Have-V Donut. In the early 70s, Israel gave the U.S. a MiG-21 fighter jet. They got it from an Iraqi pilot who defected.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the U.S. wanted to see what the MiG could do, figure out its strengths and weaknesses. So they flew it against their own planes in mock dogfights at Area 51.
So not only were they testing their own cutting-edge technology, they were going up against enemy aircraft as well.
Exactly. It was a pretty unique opportunity.
That's incredible.
And Have-V Donut wasn't the only program like that. They also had Have-V GLIB, which was all about evaluating Soviet radar and missile systems.
So basically trying to figure out how to beat them.
Yeah, by understanding how they worked, they could come up with countermeasures.
That's so interesting. It really paints this picture of Area 51 as this center of intelligence gathering and like technological competition during the Cold War. And I think this is where it starts to get really interesting because all this secret activity, all these strange aircraft, it's like the perfect recipe for speculation about UFOs, right?
Yeah, it's like throwing gasoline on a fire. I mean, it's human nature to try and explain things we don't understand. And when the government is intentionally being secretive about what's happening at a place like Area 51, well, it's natural for people's imaginations to run wild.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room then. Area 51 and UFOs. Was it all just misidentified test flights, or is there actually something more to it?
Well, like we were talking about earlier, those advanced aircraft probably contributed to a lot of the early UFO reports. People would see lights moving at crazy speeds, or shapes that didn't look like any planes they'd ever seen. So it's not surprising they jumped to conclusions.
I can definitely see that, especially with something like the U-2, flying so high that no commercial aircraft could ever reach it.
Exactly. And then you have people like Bob Lazar, who, back in the late 80s, claimed he worked on alien technology at a secret section of Area 51 called S4.
Oh, yeah, his story was huge.
It was. And whether it's true or not, it really created this connection in people's minds between Area 51 and the possibility of extraterrestrial life.
Lazar's story definitely took the whole Area 51 mythology to a whole new level. It was so detailed, and it sounded believable. And even though people debunked his claims later on, it still made people wonder, you know?
Yeah, it planted a seed of doubt.
Yeah, for sure.
And it wasn't just him. Other whistleblowers came forward with even more stories. Crashed alien spacecrafts, reverse engineering, even meeting extraterrestrials. Some even claimed they worked on flying disc simulators based on alien tech.
Wow, it's a fascinating but kind of frustrating part of the whole Area 51 saga.
Yeah, for sure.
These stories, even without any real evidence, they really grab you, don't they?
Oh yeah, they really tap into that human desire for the unknown.
Yeah, and they keep the speculation going. It makes you wonder what it would even take to convince people one way or the other.
That's a great question. And it's something we're going to explore further when we look at some of the most popular Area 51 conspiracy theories right after a quick break, so stay tuned.
Okay, so we've talked about the history, the spy planes, the Cold War context, but let's be honest. What really keeps Area 51 in the conversation are all those wild theories surrounding it, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Alien autopsies, government cover-ups, technology that's years ahead of anything we know. There's a conspiracy theory out there for everyone.
It's true, and that's part of what makes it so interesting to think about. Like, it's a glimpse into how people try to understand the world, especially when things are unknown.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. We're curious by nature, right? And when we don't have the information, we try to fill in those gaps, sometimes with some pretty wild ideas.
For sure. So let's dive into some of those popular Area 51 conspiracy theories. What are some of the most common ones you've come across?
Well, the classic one is the idea that Area 51 is storing crashed alien spacecraft. That one got really popular thanks to Bob Lazar. He claimed he saw 9 different alien discs there.
Yeah, his story was so detailed, wasn't it?
It was.
He even talked about a gravity propulsion system based on element 115 that hadn't even been synthesized yet.
Right, it had that scientific-sounding element that made it seem plausible.
Yeah, exactly.
And even though his claims have been debunked, the image of Area 51 as a hangar for alien tech, it's still a powerful image.
Yeah, it's become a modern myth. You
Yeah.
know, even people who don't necessarily believe it still find the possibility intriguing.
Oh, for sure. And then you have the theory that the government is using Area 51 to develop weapons. Based on alien technology, they've reverse engineered
Yeah.
energy weapons, cloaking devices, things like that.
Oh, yeah, like straight out of science fiction.
Exactly.
And then there's the weather control theories. That Area 51 has technology that can control the weather, cause storms, droughts, things like that.
It's really interesting, isn't it, how these theories often reflect whatever anxieties are happening at the time. During the Cold War, it was Soviet technology. Now it's climate change and the power of governments.
So are you saying these conspiracy theories are more than just, you know, fun stories?
Yeah, I think so. They tap into our fears, our hopes, our distrust of authority. They try to explain things that feel chaotic or beyond our understanding.
That's an interesting way to look at it. But what about the people who really truly believe these theories, even when there's evidence that contradicts them? What drives that kind of conviction?
That's a tough question. Part of it might be confirmation bias. You know, we tend to look for information that supports what we already believe, even if it's not reliable. And when someone's committed to a belief system, it's really hard to change their mind.
It's like they say, if you're looking for a conspiracy, you'll find one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I also think it's about a desire for control, for understanding. The world can be an unpredictable place. And conspiracy theories create a narrative where someone, even if it's a shadowy government agency, is in control.
So it makes you feel like things aren't just random.
Yeah, it can be comforting to think that someone has all the answers.
And like it makes you feel like you're in the know, right? Like you have access to information that most people don't.
I think there's an element of that as well. It feels empowering to think you've seen through the lies, that you're not falling for the official story.
Like you're part of this exclusive group.
Exactly. The people who know the real truth.
Then you have things like the whole Storm Area 51 thing. Millions of people signing up to raid a top-secret military base. That doesn't sound very rational.
No, not really. But it's important to remember the context. It started as a joke, a meme. Sure, some people took it seriously. But for most people, it was a way to make fun of the whole Area 51 thing. To engage with the idea that maybe, just maybe, something impossible could happen.
Like a collective fantasy.
Exactly.
Wouldn't it be wild if we could just storm Area 51 and find out the truth about aliens?
Right. It's pure fantasy, of course, but it shows how much we want to know, to explore, to discover the truth, even if the truth isn't as exciting as we thought it would be.
And it's about pushing boundaries, challenging authority.
Yeah, all of that.
But let's not forget, while Area 51 might not be hiding aliens, it is a place where real top-secret things happen, and that secrecy has consequences.
That's a really important point. The secrecy was meant to protect national security. But it's also created this void of information, and that void has been filled with rumors, speculation, and conspiracy theories.
It's made it almost impossible to have a rational conversation about Area 51.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more the government tries to keep things secret, the more suspicious people get, which just leads to more speculation.
It's a vicious cycle.
It really is. It makes you wonder about the balance between national security and transparency, how much secrecy is really necessary, and when does it start to do more harm than good?
Yeah, those are tough questions.
Yeah.
And we'll probably keep asking them as long as places like Area 51 exist.
Places shrouded in mystery and possibility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But even with all that, even with the downsides of the secrecy, you can't deny that there's something alluring about the unknown. The possibility, even a tiny one, that we aren't alone, that there's something out there we don't understand. It's a powerful feeling.
It is, and it's that sense of wonder that drives us to explore, to push the boundaries of knowledge.
It's the same drive that led to the development of those amazing aircraft.
Yeah, it's about going beyond what we know, exploring what's possible.
And that same drive is what makes us so fascinated by Area 51.
I like that.
It all comes back to that human need to explore.
It's really amazing how Area 51 has become this cultural phenomenon, you know what I mean?
Oh, totally. It's not just a military base anymore.
Yeah.
It's like it's invaded everything. Movies, TV, even video games.
Right. It's like the go-to symbol for government secrets and maybe aliens, like Independence Day. Area 51 is like crucial to saving the world from those aliens.
Oh, and the X-Files, right? Mulder and Scully were always ending up there.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate no trespassing sign for those kind of shows.
Forbidden Zone, exactly.
But even comedies like Paul, they use Area 51 for laughs. But there's always that hint of mystery underneath it,
Like we're all in on the joke, but still kind of scared.
Yeah, exactly. It just shows how ingrained this place is in our minds.
But, what's really fascinating is how all this pop culture stuff actually feeds back into those conspiracy theories.
It's a loop, right?
Totally. People see Area 51 in movies and TV as this alien hotspot. And it makes them think, well, there must be something to it, even if it's made up.
Right. Like it blurs the lines between reality and fiction.
Exactly. It's a great example of how stories can shape our view of the world.
It makes you wonder why Area 51 is such a powerful symbol. Why does it capture our imagination so much more than other secret places the government might have?
That's a good question. I think it's more than just the secrecy. It's what that secrecy might be hiding,
The unknown.
Yeah, like that possibility, however small, that we're not alone in the universe, that something bigger is out there.
Right, that there are things beyond our understanding.
Exactly.
Area 51 is where that fascination with the unknown meets our dreams of super advanced technology.
And our biggest questions about, the meaning of life.
Yeah, it's where science fiction feels like it could actually become real.
And the thing is, even with all the digging people have done, leaked documents, satellite images, people claiming to have worked there, it's still mostly a mystery.
It really is, like a puzzle we can't resist trying to solve.
Even though we might never find all the pieces.
That's a great way to put it. Thinking about all this, it kind of makes me think that maybe the real legacy of Area 51 isn't about aliens or crazy technology.
What do you mean?
It's about something more human,
I think I see what you're getting at.
It's about that urge to explore, to go beyond what we know, to keep asking questions even when we're not sure of the answers. Like, that's what drove us to build those incredible aircraft in the first place.
To push the boundaries.
Exactly. And it's the same thing that makes us look up at the stars and wonder.
Wonder what's out there.
Yeah. And it's what keeps us so intrigued by Area 51.
It all comes back to that human curiosity.
So if you could peek behind the curtain at Area 51, what would you want to see? A crashed alien spaceship?
Yeah.
Some top secret tech? Or just the satisfaction of finally knowing the truth?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I think the real power of Area 51 isn't in what it hides. It's in what we imagine it might be hiding.
That's a great way to wrap things up. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Area 51, where truth and fiction get blurry and the mystery keeps us all coming back for more.